You used to see him a lot, and then people
5
suddenly kind of
seconds
stopped
remaining.
picking him and started favoring the Beastmaster again and the Brutes,
Mhm.
but I think Visage is
Tempests
still very good.
turn to ban.
And what is it?
Yeah.
You can just jump in, it takes a while, and then there is time for snowball reactions.
Exactly. They still have Tusk. If Tusk just buy a dagger first item, it can protect a lot. Yeah, I'm with beastcoast here.
Yeah, so you guys are with beastcoast, right?
Yeah.
You think they came out on top on this one?
At least on draft, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, I
Wingblade
think so too.
confirmation, yeah? beastcoast all the way?
Beast Coast all the way.
Okay.
All the way.
Okay, so we
Okay.
are all in on beastcoast, and now it's Ares and Danog for this game number 1.
Thank you very much, guys, and here we go. Danog, we've heard what the panel has to say about the draft, but what are your initial thoughts with the draft between Beast Coast and Alliance?
I quite like Beast Coast. Sorry, I think you're muted on my end as well, so maybe just finagle with that a little bit. But that's all right. That's all good. It's the first cast today. It's the first cast in quite some time. But what I do like, I actually quite like this Underlord pick at the very end. The issue that I have though with the draft of Alliance overall is that I don't see any strong tower push coming from them. They might be able to win a few team fights, but their window for success is very, very small. So that's the big issue that I've got coming through here.
All right. Well, we'll see how much that issue is going to come into play here as we do get ourselves underway. Nothing too crazy to set ourselves up. Radiant going to be playing towards that top side of the map. Should be able to secure multiple of the bounty runes to start.
The battle begins.
Tá logo,
Oh.
Puxa, não que é esse? Puxa,
Hello?
não que é esse?
I can't hear Ares.
All right, here we go. And we'll see how this matchup's going to shape up mid first here. Then we've got the Mars up against the Ember Spirit. Of course, Analog on his Ember and Dark Margot on his very favorable Mars. So we're expecting this matchup to go a little better for one side or the other.
I'm expecting it to be a little bit Mars favored, but the thing is that you can just get a single pointer to the bulwark and heavily reduce the damage that Analog's going to be trying to pump into you with the Sleight of Fist. So with the Flame Guard, I think that's why he's going a little bit more into that as opposed to any kind of Sleight of Fist spam, just because it's going to be countered fairly easily, and it means that he's going to need to use the Spear of Mars basically off cooldown to get rid of that Flame Guard, so he's going to get a lot of good value out of it.
And we see this bottom matchup as well with how it's shaping up between the two. Looks like a pretty good start here for Vitaly on the Underlord. Nothing too crazy. I mean, with the Firestorm, you're able to see us relatively safely. Will be difficult early for Beast Coast to be able to deal with that. Until they get the levels, I'm sure they can start to play a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, so what I was saying before when there was a little bit of audio stuff going on is that I do like this Underlord last pick coming through from Alliance, just because you're going up against 3 strength heroes and a Visage who really suffers a little bit from that damage over time. So someone like an Underlord is going to be really successful in that regard, and it also gives them a little bit of this team fight control with a Pit of Malice, right? We talked about the Tusk and why it might not be amazing into the Ember Spirit just because it prevents that snowball save. Pit of Malice kind of does the same thing, and it holds them in place to be able to hit the arrows for Wukong's command, things like that. But the big issues that I'm seeing for Alliance is that once those BKBs come out, things become a little bit more challenging. Once Lotus Orb starts to come out, things become more challenging. And again, there's no real strong tower push coming through from them when you compare it to a Visage with Familiars and you know level 15 or a Sven with God Strength popped.
Yeah, and it does seem like Beast Coast are going to be playing with a very early timing as well here. Like, they're not too worried about anything. Maybe like BKB on the Sven is really the ultimate thing that you're hoping for him to even get involved.
Yeah, I think so. And again, like, I think this is a game where Visage could very easily get away with that Lotus Orb, because not only does it give you the value of getting out of these
top lane
roots, looks like they're going to get away from this one. Mistiming the Mischievous a little bit there, so Lumiere's going to suffer a little bit in terms of his stability in the lane. But I do like how Beast Coast changed these lanes up, right? Obviously, they would have probably preferred the Mars going into the side lanes, but with the Monkey King being picked up, that's just not a lane that you want at all. If you're playing Mars in the side lane, you want to to sit there and farm for quite some time. And Monkey King, along with Lifestealer and Ursa, are heroes that really thrive in those sorts of situations. So good switch up. It's a good matchup against the Ember Spirits, so props to them.
Yeah, and we're seeing that really come into play here in regards to the CS. Dark Margo 21-4 compared to the 15-2. Of course, this is something that we've seen him have a lot of success on that previous roster with Thunder and, of course, at TI stage as well. So it's going to come down to a lot of the power runes if you can get like an active room to maybe make a play with the level 6.
Yeah, for sure. I do like the point as well that Sherlock made during the panel of, he's been spamming this Tusk in the DPC, and like they were saying as well, 2 series wins, 2 series losses, and obviously it hasn't worked out too amazingly for them so far. K1 actually in a little bit of trouble, and Theolacor, offered the playmaker for Alliance back from even when it was the Hikori days, ends up getting the first blood.
Now he's able to rotate to try and take away the water rune from Dark Margo, so beautifully done in regards to the timing. Theolacor getting a lot done across the map early.
Oh, Sting of the Man fight! Oh no!
Alright, this bottom lane for Alliance going incredibly well.
I was kind of expecting it, right? Like, you can do fairly well in that lane, and I feel like a kill onto the Sven was a little bit unexpected, let's say. But I'm still a little bit worried once it does become mid-game, That's still where I'm seeing the issue being.
Do we feel like if they have a really good laning stage, it could maybe change your thoughts on how the mid-game can shape up?
Oh, for sure. I mean, when I saw the Ember Spirit, I was also just thinking when they could just go ahead and pick a Dragon Knight or something like that, and really just completely shut him out, make sure that the Visage doesn't have a game. Does have a much stronger game. Because I feel like if Visage has a strong lane, then you're setting yourself up for a lot of success when it does come time to push these towers with the siege creep timings.
Speaking about the Visage, I've been in a little bit of trouble here. Snowball sucks him in, so they're going to be able to dodge the Primal Spring damage, and Sacred can step down to the south and turns it back around with a Soul Assumption. So Beast Coast are able to hit the board here in game 1.
Not exactly able to go back to the lane quite so easily, though. He's running a little bit low on the regen. Just had, I believe, a Tango delivered, so it won't be horrible. But yeah, until he gets those Tranquils delivered to himself, it's going to be a little bit more difficult as Lumiere. Good mischief dodge that time.
Might not be enough, though. Turns, does he have enough life still coming back for the Jingu? Lumiere stays alive. What a beautiful play with the mischief and Gardic. Well, he's rewarded with the double kill in the end.
Imagine that. Not believing in Lumiere. This isn't a Morphling game. He's not going to buy a Shadow Amulet and sell all of his items. He's very, very good on this Monkey King, and you basically said that he is nothing. He is not able to...
Hang on, alright. Enough from you, bottom lane, Vitaly. He's tanky. I don't know.
He's got a Vanguard, man.
Yeah, that he does indeed. I mean, if he had Firestorm as well, then who knows what could have happened, but... lacking the mana, and I mean, that's huge. You just rotate a support down bottom. Now it keeps the Visage alone. So Alliance, they can pounce on this opportunity, recognizing that the Visage has no one playing behind him, means that Sacred will go down for a second time in the lane.
Yeah, I'm liking the itemization. I'm liking the movements coming through from Alliance. They're doing everything that they could possibly need to be able to come out of this laning phase in a really solid spot. They're going to look to play around mid lane. In fact, it's actually Beast Coast looking to sit behind, maybe using Dark Margo as a little bit of bait here. If they can get the Ember Spirit to dive in, catch him in a Frostbite, maybe you get this kill. Of course, using the fact that it's nighttime as well. You won't have that vision, but I think Stinger is just a little bit too slow on the Crystal Maiden. No boots, no kind of movement at all outside of the Windlace that he just had delivered then.
Top lane, look at the pressure they're putting on an Alliance. Scouting out Sacred again as Lumiere has a very early level up in the Wukong's command. They're going to try and respect the reinforcements that are starting to show. Dark Margo hoping for an opening out of the ultimate. Looks like they won't need it to get rid of Gardic as well. So a tower successfully defended, but Beast Coast have to bring a lot of their members up top to do so.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's not the sort of movement that you want to be making early on. You want to be giving this Visage the earliest level 6 possible. And, well, they've done a good job of keeping this siege creep up and alive for quite some time. Not expecting it to have done this much damage to the tier 1 tower top. So, wins across the board for Alliance so far. we already mentioned how much of an important series it is for them as well, with, you know, Major still technically on the cards. If they can win all of their remaining games, that would mean a win against both Beast Coast and EG.
And with the start they've had, they're in a great position to be able to chain this into a really good early game, as we see Analog able to pick up a haste rune. And they should be able to find it. Remnant on forward. They know the TPs were used prior, so this time Sacred will go down. Schofield's in the firing line as well, but they won't have a way to cancel the TP, so he'll make it out.
Well, that's a nice way to be able to, I suppose, lessen the disadvantage of having not quite as strong of a push. Just completely eliminate the pushing hero from the enemy team by putting all of this attention up against it. Really nicely done by Alliance, recognizing where they could potentially be punished and responding accordingly.
Now, what do we need to see out of Beast Coast? Because you're down 3,000 gold at such an early stage. Well, what are kind of some plays that we need to see out of them to slowly call this one back?
Well, they've got really strong team fight, I believe, at least in terms of pick-off if the dive too deep ends up happening. You've got, of course, Snowball to be able to create time. You've got the Arena. You've got the Frostbite starting to be leveled up a little bit. So that's the thing that Ember really hates leveling against. So I feel like what you can do is start to build up a few of these stacks, like Schofield has started to do, and then look to get K1 back online in this game. You know, take a few of these ancient stacks, look to use that to potentially take these next few team fights, and just don't lose any more kills, basically.
Let's see. Oh, Analog's actually going to jump over the shards. The rest of the team can't really follow up for the moment. Going to try and snowball off to the right side, though, so we should be fine as they're able to get the kill nonetheless. Fuck, Margot, is he in trouble? They actually got a rift closer towards the Mars. Vitaly holds him down. There's going to be the fault from Lumiere as well. So Margot, a second death from Beast Coast.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all this movement across the map is really good from Alliance. Any kind of global strat is always going to be a factor whenever you've got this Underlord.
Got him as well. K1 now. Gonna be cautious. Stinger's gonna be able to protect him with the freezing field, and they'll turn to Theolacor instead. But the Mirana
have any leaps.
Not playing with any leap charges, and Schofield's gonna be able to wrap around as well. So Beast Coast will be able to pick up a kill for K1, getting a nice little injection of gold into the bank of the Sven.
Yeah, I mean, you've got that Mask of Madness as well, so I think, like, K1 probably doesn't want to be playing in these lanes all that much unless he's in a position to maybe shove out this bottom lane, prevent the siege creep from being a factor, and then he should be looking to go back towards the ancient camp area. Oh, mid lane, they're actually looking to get a bit of a play. The Arena.
Oh, no way.
To be able to protect Analog would have meant a lot to be able to get that kill away from him after the great start that he's having.
The other side, Stinger does still go down though. So it's going to be able to tick out to the curse. We're happening across the map though. Sacred looking to try and get some catch up at the top lane. Gonna be working. I think he's got drums coming out of the chorus, so gonna be working on the hood next. Still mid. Beast Coast continuing to bring multiple of their members nearby, even though the Arena is on cooldown. Just kind of funneling here for the moment. Are we looking to see a play? And well, I guess here we go. Smoke from Stinger. Alliance are ready to maybe contest this. Analog and Gardic to secure the power rune. We'll be spawning dump bottom though, so an invis for them to work with. And Beast Coast, can they get something out of this smoke? Stinger starting to move to Sacred's location. Won't be able to catch out Lumiere though.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite a good response by Beast Coast, but you still have to be worried about the ever-growing lead that Alliance seems to be building up. I mean, I said it again, the Underlord really feels like the thing that's going to be tying together this Alliance draft, so they got to make sure that they just don't lose too many big objectives. Again, playing around siege creeps as much as possible, not wanting full-on team wipes. You just got to make sure you're not losing towers to enable them to invade your space, to prevent this early timing, and to punish you before BKBs and Lotus Orb comes online.
Might be in a bit of trouble. And trying to start the fight. Spear will be able to hold them back. They do get that arrow connection. Radiant starting to funnel into the neighborhood. Margot's not going to be tanky enough to get the arena off before he dies. Schofield nonetheless, though, will be able to bring one member down into the grave. It might cost him his own life, though, as Danog looking to hunt. Should be able to catch him out. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Arrow connects once again from Theolacor, so a second kill for Alliance.Latam.
Yeah. And very, very big. But the important thing is it's not a full team wipe. Of course, it doesn't feel great to be losing a Mars, you know, your mid laner, but as long as you're protecting your tower, that's the fine thing. You have Stinger there to be able to pull this away, and can they get a turnaround here?
We'll see. This is the tanky Underlord. Crimson Guard activated. The damage just isn't there. The help of the Global Silence as well means that Beast Coast can't pump in the damage. And Margot now looking to try and scurry on away. Arrow's going to be able to hold them back for the moment as K1 finds an opening, but Lumiere was instantly able to respond with the Boundless Strike. And Alliance, all they lose is Theolacor.
These aren't heroes that are really able to protect those towers, right? You don't have the Crystal Nova to easily drag the creep wave. You don't have a tanky Sven. Tusk, Mars, Visage, they need to be right up there to be able to drag it off. And so that's what enables Alliance to be able to pick up that early-ish mid-tower, get an Arcane Rune, and now it's going to be time for them to start playing a whole lot more on Beast Coast side of the map. So restricting the amount of farm that K1's able to get. Almost feels like a bit of a desperation play here.
See if they can get Analog, though. He does have multiple members behind him. Again, we saw what happened prior when they went on Vitaly. That's not the member they want to try and chase down. Analog's the initial target, but he does get the Frostbite off at least before he dies, so Schofield can enter with the punch, and that's enough chain control to bring down with the Ember Spirit. But Alliance, they want to look to hit back as Lumiere jumps inside the river. Should be able to get Schofield and does so with ease.
Yeah, a little bit surprised that they had the damage to be able to take him out still as K1. Will he be able to get away from this?
As well. They've already used the arrows, so the follow-up might be lacking for the moment with the Boundless on cooldown. Margot is going to be able to TP back in if required to protect him. They've got the arena at the ready, but the question is going to be the damage here on Beast Coast. Once again, they're just unable to bring down some of the members on Alliance as they can look to now leave the area.
I mean, it's the damage, but as well, like, you just can't walk into the pit until you got BKBs, right? Like, you need BKB, you need Lotus Orb, you need all these sorts of things to be able to fight, and that's exactly what you've got queued up next on K1. You can see Lumiere, he realizes that that's going to be the response as well, so doesn't really want to go down on too much more of the farming route. He's going to be ready to fight right back into them, prevent the impact of the arena, of the Crystal Maiden, and the Visage almost entirely.
6,000 a net worth lead before that 16-minute mark here for Alliance. What an incredible start for them. 615 kill count. And we've spoken a lot already about how important this series is for them to potentially have a hope of even qualifying, of course, to that major. And this is a beautiful way to start it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, of course, going 2 losses in series isn't the way that you want to be opening your tour, but certainly things are looking up. They're going away from that Tusk insta-pick that they seem to go back to every single time. Dark Margot's a little low on mana as well.
Let's get the spear away, but still Vitaly's close enough to hold him down with the root. No death here for the Mars, just trying to get ever so close towards the BKB. Seems like that's really the thing they're waiting to play with here on Beast Coast. Might even lose more members as well. Straight to bottom they go on Alliance. They're looking for the juicy target into K1. And Lumiere, he's got his eyes on the prize. The Sentry's drop though. Can they blow him up? A Global Silence protecting Lumiere, so he's got the opportunity to get the Wukong's command out. And now they'll be able to chase K1 down into the tree line. They'll go for a TP. Do they ever want to cancel it? They don't. And all of Beast Coast make it out. Meanwhile, on the opposite side of the map, Analog doing his own little thing, try and bring down Sacred, but he too will not be able to get a kill.
So that is another one of those weaknesses for Alliance, right? You don't exactly have the greatest amount of continuous stun, right? You've got great amount for pick-off for themselves, so it's just a matter of avoiding that little burst that enables K1 to be able to get on away if he's not fighting right next to that Pit of Malice. So maybe a little bit of miscommunication coming through there. I feel like this game is almost entirely on the back of K1, considering how affected the laning stage was for the Visage, and well, this should just be an easy kill onto Stinger.
Maybe Dark Mongo might go down as well. Curse gonna tick him through. The remnant damage will help out as well as Guardi rewarded with the double kill. Silencer is
22
getting-
wins.
Yeah, 5, 3, and 10, top of the net worth in regards to the support's going to be working on a 4-staff as his kind of first real big item here to help kite out the Sven.
I mean, that's what it's all about, right? Kite out the BKBs. That's the name of the game. They know it's coming. They know exactly how Beast Coast are going to be wanting to respond to this early aggression that Alliance are throwing at them. 3 times the amount of kills, 8k lead, very worthwhile. And I quite like where K1's setting himself up as well, realizing that, you know, Alliance want to be playing on our side of the map. So where's the safest place to be? Their territory. It's quite good.
It's just a concern that CK1's, they're trying to give him as much farm as possible. Hold that thought as bottom lane. Schofield. It'll be an easy kill for them to find. He'll make him work for it with the snowball, but it will still go down nonetheless. It's going to be able to open up some damage in the tier 2 tower, but we see that Beast Coast, the rest of the cores really aren't getting a whole lot. Like this Mars in the mid lane isn't going to scale as well into the late game as a position to, unless you kind of are able to find a lot more kills early on. The Visage is really struggling as well. Maybe that I think Pipe and double BKB, but if they aren't able to win a team fight off the back of that, then this game could look very, very grave.
Yeah, they're desperately just trying to bide their time, waiting for that that BKB on the Sven. That is the big win condition for themselves. And I mean, K1 honestly feels like he's maybe lacking a little bit of the damage, not needing just that, because he's bought the Ogre Axe in addition to the Echo Saber. So not going for the full efficiency route, really realizing that he's going to need the damage component as well from the Echo, as well as that Ogre Axe component.
Look at this ward. Oh, this ward is giving them so much to play with. They're going to jump under the tier 2 tower and try and target down Sacred on the Visage first. Easy kill for Alliance Define thanks to the vision game that has been set up ever so perfectly from the supports.
Been able to grab a couple of familiars as well, so the network lead continuing to stay very, very healthy for them right now. They might even be able to get free kill here. Like they will, just standing inside the Pit of Malice. No weapons to run. Just more and more gold going Lumiere's
Lane
way.
as well. Theolacor off on the mark with the Yours Arrow combo. Mars going to be forced to use a defensive BKB, so...
Really nice use of the global silence there, because Monkey was in the trees at the time. You use the Arena of Blood, which was available, then you know it's a big stun and potentially a kill onto the highest net worth carry in the game.
Dire's top tower is
It's
under
continuing to give a little bit of time for K1 to find his farm as well. He did show in the lane up top, so instantly Alliance are trying to cut him off, potentially anticipating this farming pattern back to the triangle, and they might be right. They're going to run into Sacred once again, though. This Visage is...
They're just as happy with that.
Yeah. He's not having a good time.
Yeah, and this is not the position that K1 wants to be in. He's just running back constantly. Dark Margot giving him over the Tome of Knowledge just to get a little bit more into that Arena of Blood. Again, damage does feel like a bit of the issue, but that's sort of the place that I want to see K1 farming down bottom.
K1. Uh-oh. Still no BKB. And Schofield's just a little bit too far away for the snowball. They'll finally get it, but the damage has been dealt. They'll drag him to the left side, but K1 still will go down. And with the rest of the Beast Coast are going to join him as well, as they only bring Theolacor down with them. Analog, he might be going inside the base for it. He's already got a remnant out. And go in and out easy like that as Alliance find 3 and now can take the T2 tower as well.
Radiant's top
I mean, how many times did we see Analog styling on his Ember Spirit? Again, like Sherlock mentioned, taking games off the likes of LGD during TI. Bet Boom, they 2-0'd RNG. They took game off OG when they were in their real winning form. So this is not a bad team by any stretch of the imagination. They just had a couple of bad series in the lead up to this. They are reaching a couple of these timings though. Pipe coming very shortly for Sacred, which is going to provide a whole lot of protection against both the Underlord and the Ember Spirit in particular. And of course that level 12 really ramps up the damage for Sacred too. So that plus BKB, it's going to be the real thing that Alliance are looking to play around. And it's not like Alliance have an amazing Roche taking lineup either. So you can perhaps look to just try and play this farm game, play as spread out as possible.
See, they're all grouping up at the moment from Beast Coast around that triangle. Ready to go.
I don't think they
Alliance.
can. They just use the God Strength. It's on cooldown for another minute or so, and they'll see that. on Alliance. So exactly timing the smoke, exactly for when the Sven won't be able to output that damage coming back their way. Again, any target's fine, because they know that the Sven's not going to be there to influence the team
Dire's
fight.
top tower
Here comes the evasion. And look, the one on the front should be able to run into Stinger first. They'd like a juicier target than the Crystal Maiden. They're going to find it the remnant to the tier 1 tower is K1.
He doesn't have a TP, so
Yeah,
even if he
there's-
BKBs.
No way he can escape here. K1 slowly chased down. No point in popping the BKB as Alliance ready, anticipating Beast Coast movement. Even Schofield trying to hide on the high ground, but they know exactly where his hiding spot is.
The thing I do like, though, is that Sacred and Dark Margot immediately just said, look, we got to push out these other lanes. We got to get something in exchange for this. The net worth is growing, but I think the amount of value you're going to get out of Sacred getting just that little bit more net worth is going to be enormous for them. I actually feel like without the Sven being a factor, they can take this Roshan to potentially enable their next siege onto the high ground. There are outer towers remaining, so that is the next big objective for them. They want to push this out before they get some of these big items up on Beast Coast.
Speaking about those items, Vitali's going to a Halberd, so another way to be able to deal with the Sven, which really feels like is that X factor now, but this hero plays off the back of being kind of one item ahead of someone just with your innate farming mechanic in the cleave, and the fact that you're playing from behind is going to make it that much more difficult. Alliance have this time to be able to itemize against him. We spoke about the 4-stars from the supports, you know, the Yules and the Mirana as well, and now you've got the Halberd as well that K1's going to have to deal with.
They desperately want to be able to pop someone. That's the big thing for Beast Coast right now. I mean, it's going to be on the back of a Shadow Blade, it seems, from K1 instead of a Blink Dagger, because he feels like he needs the damage as well. But you can see they've got that. They've got a Solar Crest coming through on the Visage, just for, again, more of that minus armor on the main target. Tusk, of course, with the Blink Dagger. There is plenty of burst potential. It's just about how can you find the right person and how quick is Gardic going to be on that trigger finger. Speaking of Gardic, he's got a refresher already at 24.5 minutes on this silencer.
Bottom lane, Dark Margot. Some extra members to come down. Lumia just stalking his prey. Waiting for the silencer to slowly start to bring himself to bottom. Margot does get the spear. Oh, okay.
Nope.
Gonna get the boundless. Not enough stun lock, Dark Margot. Oh no, not like this. We slow chase down now. Should be
No point in popping BKB with no TP.
Oh, we
And
got
top side.
another team fight taking place at the top side of the map, though. And
Can they kill
trying to
Underlord?
chase them down. They might be able to with the damage coming through for the Sven.
Does he just get
Vitalis
away?
going to try and rift away. Instead, he doesn't go through the rift. Vitali, do they have detection? The Boundless, though. On to 2 and all 5
That
get
might just be
wiped.
game.
Alliance, they brought the members
Yep.
from bottom to join. And G's had dropped a 25-minute victory from Alliance. What a game one.
What a game one, and what a great Underlord pick coming through. I mean, this is what I want to see from Alliance. I thought it was a little odd, to be honest, picking the Ember Spirit into the Crystal Maiden. Obviously, that is one of the bigger counters, and it was a nice little switch up with the lanes there, with the Mars not having to lane up into the Monkey King, but it just wasn't enough. This Underlord really just tied everything together, and again, they identified where things could go wrong. If Beast Coast could get a few of those early towers off the back of Sacred, you know, doing well in lane, getting that level 6, pushing into the towers, they could really start to choke out Alliance and get those earlier BKBs, but it just didn't happen. And so Alliance really, whoever's their coach, made an amazing game plan for them. Big props.
Yeah, and we saw those rotations as well, analog with the with one of those power runes, haste or interviews, I can't remember now. And then we saw also when they TP'd one of the supports down to bottom and left Sacred alone. Instantly, Alliance recognized that, and they tried to wrap and bring Sacred down. That was 2 very early deaths from the Visage, and ever since then, we saw it really wasn't able to have much of an impact in this game.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, we've seen very little Mirana as well out of these two teams. Obviously, the Illicore showing that he's not a one-trick pony. He was really the Tusk, the Clockwork, the, you know, Earth Spirit style player. Get up in your face, but Mirana, very different style, but he's just as good at it.
Just as good at it, indeed. So we'll see. What do we feel like Beast Coast need to try and work on heading into game 2?
Good question, to be honest. I did like quite a lot of their draft. Maybe just putting a little bit more emphasis onto protecting the thing that's going to get them out of that early phase of the game. You know, some of it can just come down to Alliance played damn well this game. You don't get a game win against Beast Coast in 25 minutes unless you're a really good team.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. We saw maybe I should be seeing a little bit more praises to Alliance instead. But regardless, this game 1 victory from them, an incredible performance. 25 minutes able to take down Beast Coast, but it is just a game 1. There's still a lot left on the line here. Of course, we're speaking a lot about Alliance and how important this series is for them. So with this confidence, we'll see how they're able to head into game 2.